Hey Chompy, would you say that Knocked Loose are a metalcore band? Or are they a hardcore band that just kind of gets lumped in with metal and metalcore? Because personally, I've always felt they were the latter. Yeah, that's a good point. This is their biggest and boldest and most sonically brutal album to date, with the most metal influence, the most metal vibes and bombast. And also, it literally doesn't matter. Subgenres are made up. None of this matters. Those are all great points. Very well said. Good morning, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Metal Meltdown. Today we are talking about You Won't Go Before You're Supposed To, brand new full-length studio album, the third overall from Knocked Loose. If you've paid any attention to hardcore and metalcore over the course of the past, 5-10 years or so, then there's a good chance you already know who Knocked Loose are, and there's a good chance you may already also have strong feelings about them. They're a very popular band, and I mean, they're getting more and more and more popular as time goes on. They're about to go on tour with Slipknot, for God's sakes. But, also, they're kind of a meme. If your social media pages, like Instagram and TikTok, look anything like mine, then you don't have to scroll for long to find memes about Knocked Loose, and particularly about the vocal stylings of their lead singer. He do kind of sound like angry SpongeBob SquarePants, I'm not gonna lie. It's that's fair. That's a fair point. It really is. But love him or hate him, meme him or don't, doesn't matter, doesn't change the fact that Knocked Loose are kind of a big deal right now. It won't change the fact that You Won't Go Before You're Supposed To is, as Chompy beautifully explained just a moment ago, their biggest, boldest, and most sonically brutal album to date. Would I say that this is my favorite Knocked Loose album to date? Honestly, I'm not sure. Laugh Tracks, A Different Shade of Blue, the Tear in the Fabric of Life EP, they're all really good, really pummeling, really nasty, really powerful, but I would totally understand if someone else were to make that argument. I get it, totally valid, because there's a lot of really great stuff on here. Sonically speaking, this album is absolutely massive and tough as hell. We're talking kaiju levels of size and strength, alright? We're talking Godzilla shit. We're talking Galactus shit. Everything is just so loud and aggressive. The guitars loom and tower over you in genuinely ominous and foreboding fashion. The guitars crack and roar like thunder itself. And Brian Garris is out for motherfucking blood. This is the most vicious and volatile he has ever sounded. Does he maybe also occasionally, simultaneously sound like angry SpongeBob SquarePants? Are the memes true? Yes, they absolutely are. His vocals are definitely an acquired taste, shall we say. There's a lot of high-pitched screaming and barking and yelping, and it works fine within the realms of hardcore and metalcore, but I could still understand why somebody would listen to this and go, I can't do it, and walk away. I get it, I really do. You've got opening number Thirst, which is quite possibly one of the most immediate and intense opening numbers I've heard on any hardcore or metalcore album as of late. Right off the bat, you have this totally unrelenting barrage of pulverizing guitars and drums and guttural vocals and screaming vocals. Though this is more polished in some ways than what I'm used to hearing from Knocked Loose, there is still a lot of sonic and even emotional rawness that is communicated and felt that is very much in line with everything we've come to expect from Knocked Loose. Then there's Don't Reach For Me, which is filled with churning grooves and really loud, tinny, garbage can, brutal death metal percussion. There's some really gross and gritty rhythm guitar stuff as well, where it literally sounds like we're just scraping pus and dirt right off the track. And in between all of this, you have these really eerie and anxious sections, with some more minimalistic percussion and some isolated screaming vocals. It really does kind of put a lot of, atmosphere and edge on this. Then there's Blinding Faith, maybe one of the most erratic tracks on the record. So many tempo changes, so many different grooves, so much energy and darkness and momentum built up as a result of all of this. It really just kind of throws you around for a while, it kind of knocks you back and forth. The way that this track closes out, too, is honestly kind of insane. You have these very slow-paced guitars with subdued, muttered vocals and hand claps transitioning into just a full-blown avalanche of metallic noise and anger and fury. Like, Brian literally, not figuratively, literally screams his fucking guts out at the end of this goddamn thing. Like, what happened to you, hardcore SpongeBob? Were you denied your boating license again? Did Mr. Krabs deny you a promotion again? What happened? Are you okay? Do you need help? There are also some killer collabs with Chris Motionless and Poppy, respectively, on the cuts Slaughterhouse 2 and Suffocate, the latter of which may be one of my favorite cuts on the record. Poppy is going back to, like, the really erratic, metal, mathcore kind of vocal theatrics of the NXT soundtrack EP, and I am fucking loving it. With a close runner-up being maybe the closing number, Sit and Mourn. I just love how this track closes out the entire album on such a haunting, introspective, and brutal and beautiful note. Now, I will say, as much as I love how big and loud and noisy this record is at times, there are points where it's too big, too loud, and too noisy for its own good. Knocked Loose are unhinged and unleashing so much hatred, and it can be overwhelming and even a little painful at times. Like, there are just so many moments where the band is piling on so many riffs and so many beats and so many screaming vocal dynamics and theatrics and so much compression, and it's just a little too much. And in this album's most extreme moments, afterwards, I found that I had a bit of a headache. Like, I kind of had to stop this album a couple of times, especially on my very first listen, and just kind of, like, let my brain breathe for a minute, you know? And honestly, I think the album itself would agree with me, considering the amount of compression, and also considering that audio clips quite a few times across this record in its most extreme and chaotic and noisy moments. To be entirely fair to Knocked Loose, this isn't entirely Knocked Loose's fault. This also falls on the shoulders of producer Drew Folk, who has a reputation for producing hardcore and metalcore albums this exact way. I'm not sure why Drew is interested in returning to the days of the loudness war from the 2000s. I don't know, I don't get it, I don't like it. If the production wasn't occasionally so loud and so in your face that it was, again, literally giving me headaches, at certain points, in certain moments, I could picture myself giving this a 4 out of 5. As it stands, I think a 3.5 out of 5 is a more than fair score. I think the good ultimately does outweigh the bad, and I think that there are a lot of great moments that fans of modern hardcore and metalcore and that fans of Knocked Loose will love and appreciate and salivate over. Love the emotion and the darkness and the fury of this record. Love how massive it is. I love how it's true to what Knocked Loose has done before, while adding a few different twists and turns and dynamics. If you're brand new to hardcore, metalcore, and Knocked Loose and you really want to check this out, I would say do so, but I would say maybe first check out some of the singles released in advance of this album, and also do so at a medium volume. Do not blast this out of your speakers. Warts and all, it is their biggest, boldest, and most sonically brutal album to date. There's a lot to love, a lot to appreciate, and I genuinely look forward to seeing what Knocked Loose do in the future to kind of expand upon this. 3.5 out of 5, a fairly enthusiastic one at that. It's a really good record with a lot of really great moments. Check it out. But, you know, just medium volume. Trust me on this. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I am not an expert, nor do I claim to be. So what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? And thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe right here so you get updates on the Metal Meltdown immediately. Look, more videos here. That's so crazy. Join us on the Discord. Check out some merch on the Redbubbles. Goodbye. Have a fantastic fucking day.